What is going on, people of YouTube? My name is Kurtyoy and welcome back to another podcast. I did promise guests, but he's been called into work late. So unfortunately Jano will not be with us. He'll be with us
but
soon,
next week.
Next week maybe. But unfortunately it's just another week of Chelsea bashing with me and Joe, as always. Say hello.
Hello guys. What is
First of
going
all,
on?
I'd like to say a quick thank you to Mr. Caleb Speaks for making such an inspirational video about myself and once again failing to accept my request of talking in a call on Skype and then calling me a coward by hiding behind your keyboard and not even putting face cam on when you make the video. So a big fuck you to you fat greasy cunt. Moving on to our first game. Sorry, I needed to get that out there.
Ouch.
Yep, well it's about time I've started being a bit a bit more aggressive, I'd say.
That hurt my feelings.
I just hope I didn't say it too loud because mother and father would not be impressed. Anyway, moving on, we have our first game to talk about, which is it's obvious what we're going to talk about. When you talk about games that stand out, the fact that only one game scored less than 3 goals is amazing for the Premier League. But the fact that Spurs beat Manchester City 4-1 showed not only maybe a few things with Spurs are starting to tick right, as in the last few games they've looked quite a decent side attacking wise and defensive wise, and also Harry Kane scored, we'll get onto that in a second, but Man City without a few of their key players are falling apart, and that is worrying for Manchester City, Joe.
Have you just stolen all my notes?
No. We still need to elaborate on that.
Alright, okay, so basically guys, my notes for this, okay. What's happened? Aguero not scoring, key player. No company, silver or heart. 3 more key players. And then I say Kane finally scores, although he's left 2. But anyway, my opinion is I'm glad Kane's scored, just for the sake of England, not because I like Spurs, because I hate Spurs. It's quite obvious that Aguero needs David Silva to, well, I'm not going to say perform, but to, you know, set him up and get him some goals. No Joe Hart in goal was quite obvious because Caballero was shocking.
Oh my goodness.
And no company has, I mean, it's been proven in 2 weeks in a row, well, actually, technically 3 games in a row, that actually it was Sunderland between Spurs and West Ham, it was, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, 3 and 4 games then, Man City have lost. So that's to Juventus, West Ham and Tottenham. So without company, they're looking pretty disastrous at the back, to be honest.
It is worrying because you think, you know, they've got Mangala who at start seems to learn. You've got Demichelis who brings in experience. You've signed, you know, Nicolas Otamendi who in the Serie A, in the Ligue BBVA, had a fantastic season. But the problem is, you know, it is company. And the fact that it shows 2 things. One, City's defence is poor without Joe Hart proving that he should be England's #1 ahead of Fraser Forster, who sometimes in the past I had debated whether Joe Hart was as good as he is, but now it's proven how good he is, and also how much Vincent Kompany runs the whole of City's defence, because he's been gone, you know, for a few games, and City have lost at home to West Ham, which you wouldn't have seen them, well, you don't see them losing at home often at all, and they were beaten fair and square by West Ham. And their defending was shambolic at times, and then 4-1. I mean, that needs no explaining.
There's one player that people have actually forgotten about, including myself, and that is Zabaleta. It's also another one of those players that does help run that Man City defence.
He's not playing though.
Yeah, I know.
That's the worrying thing.
He's one experienced player that is not playing at the moment. I'm not sure why. I don't know if he's injured, but you know, it's someone that they need, and I don't know. Especially when Vincent Kompany's out, like he's someone that I would say needs to be on that starting list. I mean, Sanya's played well, but even if you, actually, I wouldn't say Chuck Zabaleta as centre back. He's not tall enough. But you know, you need someone to lead the team because Otamendi's got no Premier League experience, and it was the other centre back that played with him.
Martin Demichelis.
Well, enough said, isn't it? There's not enough Premier League experience at the back there for them to be as successful as they want to be if they're going to continue this way, of course.
Yeah.
I doubt they will. I mean, of course, Company's going to be back. Hart will be back. Silva should be back this week. So, you know, they'll probably do quite well this week. But, you know, it's just... They can't be relying on the fact that company doesn't get injured again this season.
Yeah, I mean, it
That's
doesn't.
the other
They
problem.
don't help themselves because after, admittedly, in Man City's defence, there were a few calls on the assistant's behalf that were
But
quite
also,
awful.
it did go both ways.
Yeah, it did help City as well, I have to admit. But
Um,
it, you see, I don't get when players don't help themselves because City go in that, unfortunately 1-1 down after it should have been given offside. So your team then, for me, should be going straight into the tunnel, getting in there, Pellegrini, giving them the heads up saying, we're still in this, we can't let this run away from themselves. And then Demichelis, for all of his experience and for all his footballing know-how and the amount of years he spent in the game, after the whistle, complains to the ref, gets himself
got
a
the
yellow card,
yeah.
and for that whole 45 minutes then, Spurs can target him knowing he can't put another foot wrong, he can't dive into tackles, he can't make a risk. If he makes a risk, he could be sent off. And I think there was a time in the match, I think it was Demichelis, where he did make a challenge, and on any other day that's a yellow card offence. However, luckily to him, Otamendi was in very close proximity, so that pretty much saved his bacon. But any other day, that's a red card, and that is City, getting beaten at least 4-1. You could see 5-1, 6-1, and for a City team, the last time we've seen a big team get beaten by a big team was City beating Man United, and they almost got beaten by their own game, effectively, which is worrying for City, I think. And the big fact for me is, you look at their bench. Their bench was Hart, Zabaleta, Nasri, Jesus Navas, then you've got Roberts, who's a youth player, Barker, who's a youth player, and Evans, who's a youth player. Their only fit striker is Aguero. Their other two, Boney and Calio Iniaccio, I think that's how you say his name, both injured. So for me, it's worryingly up, short up top for City, and that's where their problems are at the moment.
Yeah, no, they are definitely. I wouldn't say it's panic time for Man City, of course,
No,
because like a lot of people have said, but it's just they need, believe it or not, more strength in depth. Now, letting go of Dzeko was a big decision.
Yeah,
I think
that's a wrong decision, personally.
Yeah, and Jovetic as well, to add to it. I mean, that's two decent strikers both gone that, could have stepped in and probably kept Man City pretty much afloat.
Yeah.
Even just to give Aguero a bit of a knock on the head as in to say, look, you're not scoring, we're going to have to drop you. But they can't do that, especially as Boney, even if he is injured, he's nowhere near to the standard of Dzeko.
I agree.
But yeah, the other thing for me is Lamella showing his class, his worth. Even do you think?
It's about time. I think the last and only time for me Lamella has shown he's worth 30 million is when he decided that he was going to score with Rabona in the Europa Cup, and everyone just went, you know what? I'll take my pants down. You can just bend me over and screw me.
Yeah.
And since then he's done nothing. However, he was back on form today, although he picked up a yellow card. For me, he looks like the Mella that could be worth 30 million if he keeps it up, though.
He does need to keep up. He had some good form in the start of last season. He got quite a few assists and things like that. He needs to refine that form and perform well in the Premier League. Like people said, he's finally got that physicality for the Premier League, a little bit like Ozil has now. So he could potentially be finally worth that 30 million, but it's hard to say at the moment because, of course, this is Eric Lamella we're talking about, one of the most inconsistent performers in the past few years, apart from Roberto Soldado.
And a Tottenham player.
Yeah, my last point is just the offside goals, of course.
Yeah.
The first one, I would say fair enough. The De Bruyne one, it was only a leg offside. It's a bit hard to tell, but the second one was terrible. Kyle Walker was easily 3, 4, 5 yards offside when that ball was played, and the ref, well, not the ref, sorry, the assistant manager. No, I'm going to get there in a minute. Assistant referee.
There we go.
Did not get it. How did he not see how offside that was?
To be honest, I have no idea. Because it's not as if it was far away when you think the ball was played. If it's on the other side of the pitch, maybe you can kind of give a small benefit of the doubt to the assistant referee, the linesman. Where he was, it's right in front of him. You can't miss it. It's impossible to miss.
Yeah, I mean, but even then, I mean, everyone could see it. Let's face it. You're sitting up if you're watching it, you're sitting there, and I instantly saw that Kyle Walker was offside,
Yeah, you see it in plain
and
sight.
so did the commentators and everything. And I think that who is it? Who's it? Howard Webb? Is Howard Webb the ref?
Go on BBC Sport.
Yeah,
Yeah, a bit
BT
Webb.
Sport. Yeah, he made a good point of how he couldn't see it. Like even the ref probably could see it, but he didn't give it because he kept faith in his assistant.
Yeah.
But you know, it's been and gone now. Although the refereeing standard does need to improve.
I'm sure it's not going to be the first and only time in which Man City are going to get done by a system referee. It happens to every club. It happens,
Yeah, but
you know, in
it will
the
also
end.
go in their favour as well.
Yeah, it'll go in their favour at some point this season. It's how come it works. They'll probably be like 3-0 down against Chelsea or Man United or a big club or just any club and get a few lucky decisions and they are back in the game. It'll happen to anyone.
Yeah.
But we have another game to talk about, and it was a rest in peace moment. There's going to be a lot of rest in peace moments in this game. We're not talking about a player being out for 6 months. We're talking about the last of the unbeaten teams, Leicester. Unfortunately, and I think unfairly, lost 5-2 to Arsenal. Arsenal didn't deserve any of their 5 goals. Leicester were the better team. They should have won 7-0, Leicester, for me. But I think it showed in the end, you know. And it will relate back to Chelsea in a sec, and it sort of relates to Chelsea, but people were saying, are Chelsea back when they beat Arsenal? Arsenal have a test against Leicester. I think although the defence was a bit wobbly against Leicester, they showed in the attack they've still got a lot of quality, and one man in particular.
Yeah.
Giroud.
Yeah, I know. To be honest, I rate Walcott at the moment. I think Walcott's playing really well for Arsenal. 12 goals in 13 starts is a very good sort of return.
Yeah.
I thought that Arsenal demolished Leicester. Finally showed put Leicester back in their place, to be honest. If you haven't noticed, I'm not a fan of Leicester. Yeah, I mean, Arsenal look a bit better, and Sanchez, it's good to see him finally scoring for the sake of my fantasy football team. I've not got an incredible amount to say apart from good old Arsenal, and thank God Leicester lost.
Well, Leicester's run is finally over. It's the first game this season where 90 minutes have passed and Mahrez has not contributed to a goal or assist despite 2 goals going in, which I think hurt a lot of people. That's why the average was down by about 50 points this week. Because we've been averaging about 50 points a week, has Mahrez. But it showed one thing, is that the attackers in one of the games, in the attackers that England have at their disposal, are good. You saw Walcott, he had a fine game, grabbed himself the first goal of the game. The second goal of the game. The first goal of the game, and one of the last goals of the game went to Jamie Vardy, who picked up 2. And although I know for a fact, with Walcott, fit and playing for Arsenal, with Sturridge back, and we'll get onto him in a second, with Rooney scoring, with Kane scoring, Vardy won't get in the team. Carroll getting an assist. Vardy will get nowhere near the team. It took a few players being out of form and being injured for him to get into the team. And needless to say, when Danny Welbeck comes back, he will get straight into the England team because he always does. Somehow.
Yeah. I think it's the thing is with England is we always focus on the name. That's why Wayne Rooney still plays for England. It's all about the name.
Yeah.
And to be honest, names can scare teams. Because on this day, Wayne Rooney could probably take apart any team in international football.
Like San Marino.
Like San Marino, yep. One of those brilliant teams like San Marino, Kazakhstan, Liechtenstein. No, that's
Gibraltar.
Gibraltar, yep. All those fantastic nations. Rooney can take them apart on his day. But Jamie Vardy, he's someone that could only what am I saying? He can only take apart teams like Spain, Germany. No, that we focus too much on names and we don't pick the players that are in form.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, really. Jamie Vardy does actually deserve an England call and to keep his spot for now. But I know that Sturridge will get straight into the team. I know Rooney's already on the team sheet.
So Kane.
Yeah, so Kane.
And
although
so Walcott.
Yeah, well, Walcott's more of a winger though, isn't he?
Yeah, I suppose he is a winger for England.
It's more so the likes of if Carroll gets picked over him, which would be a stupid thing because Carroll. I'm not saying that Carroll's crap, but he's not.
Carroll has.
He's not been playing.
Every season he has about 2 games in his life expectancy. He's already had 1 get him in there as soon as we can to get one game out of him before he falls over and hurts himself again. He's out for another 6 months.
Exactly. Andy Carroll, he was actually really good for us last season until he got injured. But
He's a good player. He just gets injured too much. He's just unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, was that all we've got to say about Leicester Arsenal?
I think so. I'm glad Giroud got a goal. I have to admit, as much as Arsenal fans, seem to really despise Giroud at times, he cannot help himself half the time. But I do really like Giroud. I think he's a hard-working striker. He works well for the team. He does get goals, which Arsenal fans seem to forget. You see all these strikers failing to match 10 goals a season, even with himself being in and out of the team. He meets that season by season easily.
Yeah,
and it's something they're missing.
I do agree with that. He's a goal scorer. It's something that Arsenal definitely need, but he's just the fans always get on his back. That's their problem.
It's a bit like I'm sure I've spoken about this before. The Nuhiu situation from Sheffield Wednesday's perspective. When I went to go and see him at Ipswich, he was awful. And Giroud can have those games where literally he cannot touch the ball without doing something stupid, giving it away, getting a red card for something needless. Nuhiu had one of those games when he came on against Ipswich, and that's when you think people getting their back from that one game, but they missed the fact when he's brilliant. For example, Giroud was fantastic when he came on against Leicester in my eyes. From what I've seen, I can only see the highlights. And when Nuhiu played against Brentford, he ran the game. But people will say, "Oh, fair play, well done for that one game." The minute they do one thing bad, it's back to we don't like Giroud, get him out of the club. And it's sad to see. To be honest, it is sad to see.
No, it is sad to see, but I think it's the type of player that they are. Because you think of it, there's quite a few players that are a little bit like that will have a few good games and then they'll have a really bad game. So Nuhiu being one of them, Giroud being one of them, and even you could say Andy Carroll being one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the type of player that they are, they're either going to have a fantastic game or they're going to be a little bit lackluster.
You could relate it back to, I know he's not the same position, but Kevin Nolan for West Ham. It's
true.
The same thing. He can play fantastic when he's playing, but when he's not, he's just not worth having on the pitch.
Exactly. But that could be just a pace factor as well, because the thing is about pacey players is, even if they don't do anything for 90 minutes of football, they still look like they're doing something.
Yeah.
But, these things happen in football. There's not really much that they can do apart from perform better every single week. Consistently. Unfortunately, the type of player they are and the way that football's played these days, it's not going to work like that. Graziano Pelle, that's another one.
Ah, there you go. That's what I was thinking
of. Yeah.
But we'll leave Leicester Arsenal there. I think we've done everything we can with that. Also, apologies for any background noise. I'll probably edit it out at some point. I doubt Joe's going to upload it like usual.
Oh yeah. I am actually going to upload this week. I've been very busy. I've been very busy.
We are here with the third game. And the third game, there was a few I wanted to go through. I said, we could give West Brom Everton a go. That was,
what game that was. That was such
a good game. Some guy won 46k. Big congrats to him. I would have cashed out at 1k just to be safe and get 1k. He got Liverpool, which we'll talk about in a sec. Man United, not much talking about to do with that. Sunderland got beaten by a better team, but you could always see it was going to be about 3 goals or more. And the game we are going to talk about is Newcastle versus Chelsea. Now, a game that people thought Chelsea were going to go in there, play like they did against Arsenal, thump them. They were pegged back 2-2. And the thing you've got to remember is that they didn't score until the 79th minute. They were very close to losing at the home of the team that has scored, at that point, 3 goals in the whole of the season. And they got another 2 in that one game. Admittedly, I put performances down, Perez scored the goal, plays very well. You saw another good performance of Wijnaldum. When he gets a service and he gets the players working around him, he can play well. Another player that I believe deserves a lot of credit for for Newcastle, I've just basically given it away. For me, Alexander Mitrovic, it's the first game where he's properly played. And for me, he had a quality game when he was on the pitch. Admittedly, he did come off in the 85th minute for Ivan Toney, I think his name is, or I think a young player they've got. But he worked his arse off. He was up and down the pitch. He was working around. I think at some point he was dragged back to left back and managed to get a tackle in, get the ball forward again. He carries on that work rate. You know, you can see him being, you know, not a star in the Premier League, but a decent striker in the Premier League. If he could add goals and, you know, remove maybe the rashness and the aggressiveness of him, you've got a really good striker there in Newcastle United's club. And maybe you could relate it to an Alan Shearer type player. Bit of a bold statement.
Yeah, that is quite bold, but it was good to finally see the good side of Mitrovic rather than the red card side. But yeah, well, you already know what my my little notes were for this game. So Newcastle suck, Chelsea still suck, and well, how long do both managers have?
For me, I think Steve Claren. You look at the table; they are sitting pretty, just 1 point above their rivals. In 19th. Effectively, they're getting relegated at the moment. For me, I think you've got to give Steve McClaren time. He signed players. He signed Tolvan. He signed Mitrovic. He signed Mbemba. He's also signed Wijnaldum. For me, you've got to give him time. You know, if they're still performing bad, you know, around November, Christmas time, then you've got to think, you've had a few months, you had pre-season, the team still isn't gelling, maybe we need to make a decision on your future. As for Mourinho, personally, I think it's getting worryingly close to him getting snipped, not literally with his balls being snipped off, but him being, you know, chucked out of the club. And for me, it's not that far away, for the simple reason they're not performing. This is the same squad as Chelsea of last season, and something's not right. And I can't put my Eva Carniero on it yet, but something's not right in the Chelsea Football Club camp. And whether that falls down to the players not performing, the players getting old, the manager, maybe the board not signing the right players, I don't know. But something's wrong in Chelsea camp.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, I don't know what it is, Chelsea have improved on their team from last year, which is the weirdest thing about it. It's not like they've gone into this season overconfident, like, yeah, we're going to win the league again anyway, we won it easily last year. They have actually improved on their team, but they're just not performing for Mourinho anymore, and I don't know if that's just Eva Carniero. No, I don't know if that's just because he's... I don't know, he seems different this year to how he used to be. He's more... He's not as laid back as he used to be. He's more defensive.
Yeah, he gets
when it in interviews, he gets very defensive, and you know, the bus parking business is just well. I haven't got much to say on that. I don't agree with the way that Chelsea park the bus with such a good squad.
Yeah,
but you know, his time's running out. He really needs to start picking up the points. And there's no better team to do that than against West Ham, which is in the coming weeks.
Exactly.
But they have got a tough game against Southampton, and then Villa, which they should comfortably win, and then us, which they should win. But you know, basically every game for Chelsea should be a must-win game. Like,
yeah, definitely.
If it's against bottom of the league, they have to win it for like the sake of their club. But if it's against top of the league, they have to win it because it's a title challenge.
Yeah.
You could say the pressure's getting to them, but I don't know. It shouldn't be, because they should be the best team in the league still with the squad they have.
Yeah.
And Newcastle, I'm not a fan of Steve McClaren.
Neither am
I. I don't like the way he manages. I don't like the fact that he always carries an umbrella on him. I don't like the way that he sits in the stands for half the match before actually going down onto the touchline.
No, I've never liked that. No, I've never liked that.
Like, they've got some tough games coming up. They've got Man City away, Norwich at home. You know, Norwich have been performing well. Sunderland, so Derby, and Stoke. So, you know, they're not exactly easy games, and I think that it's too early for them to go now, but I think we're looking late October, early November, if, you know, this is end of October against Stoke. If they've lost every single game, which could potentially be on the cards, he will lose his job.
Well,
he will lose his job.
I think, you know, he's got Porto. I think, no, it's tonight. He's got Porto. For me, I think this is a huge must-win game. Although they won against whatever the team they played against is.
You're talking about Mourinho?
Yeah, Mourinho.
Well, Tel Aviv to start with.
Yeah. For me, Mourinho has got 1 or 2 more games. If he doesn't pick up results in them, Porto's a must-win, Southampton's a must-win, Aston Villa's a must-win. 2 out of 3 wins out of them. If he doesn't even grab that, for me, I can't see him playing another game. As for Steve McClaren, I think they've got to give him time after the fantastic performances under John Carver last season. And him getting the best out of Jonas Gutierrez, keeping the club up, and then deciding not to sign him on a further contract, which I thought in itself was a disgrace. Newcastle are close to going down, and I think it's time for a wake up call, because I did see something that Newcastle and Sunderland in the Europe spent the top 15 most amounts they're in top 15 for most amount of money spent. And they are on 2 points from 7 games and 3 points from 7 games. Now, Newcastle did show signs. Sunderland have also shown signs of improving. For me, Sunderland are gone. That 7 games in, they're gone. I think they're a lost cause. Newcastle...
Can we not say that yet? They've got to play West Ham at the weekend.
I've just jinxed it.
Yeah.
If West Ham win, I'll run around the street naked. I still don't know what I said that about in the previous episode.
It was if West Ham beat Man City. We didn't go back and check.
Yeah, still want to confirm though, just in case, and I'll need to record that.
Yeah.
Middle of the night. But for me, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, I know you told me not to say it. Sunderland are gone. Newcastle are close to being gone. I think Villa also are going to complete the 3. As far as relegation race, it's going to be very, very boring. They need to buck their ideas up. They don't need a new manager, because I don't think there's much you can change with the team. You just need Steve McLaren to stop being a Wally of a brolly, and get his act together. That's all I think.
I think Newcastle needs to get their act together, but the whole, too many new signings excuse, I don't think is good enough, to be honest. Because they signed well. Wijnaldum is a fantastic player, and Mbemba is a decent centre-back.
Yeah.
But like, you think of it, you say the amount of players they've bought, but West Ham have bought a lot of players as well, and they're currently sitting 3rd in the table. They've also got a new manager, so this is 2 teams, pretty similar situations. New manager, new teams, new players. Yeah, I mean, of course, some players are more motivated to play under different managers, and maybe Steve McLaren isn't the sort of manager that these players are thinking, yeah, I really want to play with a Wally with a brolly.
Yeah.
But it is down to the players at the end of the day. But I don't know. I think that Sunderland manager Dick Advocate doesn't have long either.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the players already know that he's not going to be there next year, no matter what.
Yeah.
So that's all I've got to say on the game. Let's do a roundup.
Let's do a roundup.
I'll do the scores this week.
Okay.
I'm going to do the scores this week.
Go for it.
So, hang on, let me just get on the actual scores. Can we have elevator music? Intermission.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, and starting from Saturday the 26th of September, we have Tottenham 4, Man City 1. We've spoken about it. Arsenal 5, Leicester City 2. Liverpool scraping a 3-2 victory against Aston Villa. Does Brendan Rodgers have much time left in his job? Manchester United 3, Sunderland 0. Goodbye, Dick Advocate. Underperforming Swansea once again lose 3-1 to Southampton, who are finally picking up the form. Stoke win their first game of the season against the mighty Bournemouth. Rest in peace, Callum Wilson, who's out for 6 months. That is going to be painful for Bournemouth. But they win 2-1. West Ham rescue a late draw against Norwich 2-2. Cheku Kouyaté, the man, the myth, the legend, getting the goal after an Andy Carroll knockdown. Newcastle 2, Chelsea 2, we've already spoken about it. And finally, oh no, I've forgotten one. Crystal Palace 1, Watford 0. The worst game of football of the weekend. And finally, Everton 3, West Brom 2, the best game of football of the weekend. Romelu Lukaku was unbelievable. How about that for a roundup?
I think we need to sign you on a permanent contract, my friend.
Have you got anything to say about any of the games? And sort of rush through them a bit.
I've got a few things. Personally, I think as much as Liverpool fans and Liverpool pundits are split down the middle. It's sort of 50% are on one side saying Rodgers out, he's had his time, get rid, start
His time is up, his time is now.
I knew that was coming. And then you've got the other 50% on the other side sticking with the think he should stay. I'm on the side he should stay. I don't get, if I was like a board member or the owner of a football club, I would not give a manager 50 odd million pounds to spend on basically a new team for me to sack him a month after they've signed all of them. I don't get it. You've got to give him time to work through it. If you're going to put that much money behind a man doing a job for you, you've got to give him chance. For me, they are underperforming. They are very lucky to be ninth on 3 wins and 2 draws. You've got to give them time, though. You give them time, you get Sturridge fit, you can get Firmino adjusted to Premier League, Coutinho back in his fine form of last season. You've got decent central midfielding pair of Henderson and Milner. Henderson, who is, recently found out a few weeks ago, I think he's going to be having an extended timeout due to breaking his foot, I think, was it?
Yeah.
Breaking his foot.
He's fractured a metatarsal.
Oh, that's it. But you've got to give him time. You can't put so much money behind someone and not give them time. You can't. It's like betting 100 quid on a score and then cashing out before the game starts. For me, that's it. It's just stupid. You haven't even given the game chance. And for me, you've got to give him time. Louis van Gaal's Army are going to win the whole world. They're going to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Let's just move on from that. Lastly, Watford look worrying to me. I did say they're in form. They look worrying to me. They're not scoring goals at home, and if they're going to play a tight defence, they can't afford to concede that one goal, because they've conceded 1 goal at home and scored 1 goal at home. That can easily increase quickly with the arrival of bigger teams coming in. Then morale starts to get down. They need to start scoring, Watford, especially at home. The big thing, I would drill into every team. If I was a football expert and I was paid to go in and say, blah, 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 this club needs to do this, Watford need to make their home ground a fortress. It's not. They play a flat, line. You saw how Palace played against it. They were unlucky to get 1 goal, I think, Palace, to be fair to Palace. And I don't know why I've chosen to speak about the most boring game of the weekend, to be honest. But West Brom 2, Everton 3. Lukaku decided he was hungry again. I think that's the first time he's feasted since he got 2 goals against Southampton, I believe.
Yeah.
And he decided he was hungry again, so he got an assist and 2 goals. Decided he was going to do something again, which is good for
That's the thing with Lukaku, is once he scores 1 goal, you're not going to stop him.
Yeah, you need to
that's the vibe I'm getting off Lukaku this season.
Yeah.
Like, if he scores a goal early on in the game, I think he's going to score a hat-trick.
Yeah. And he was close to doing it this weekend.
Yeah, very
Monday
close.
night.
He actually almost did score the hat-trick a few times.
Well, if he had chances, West Brom counts as lucky. I put that down as a 0-0. How fucking wrong was I?
Yeah, you're quite wrong. Wrong.
I know I am.
Oh well. I was quite wrong as well, to be honest. I don't know. I did predict Everton to win.
Oh,
so
well, there's another point of predict.
Hashtag predict.
I am watch it. Hashtag on my channel.
57 points, I think I'm on, or 53 points, and compared to their 37.
Let's move on, shall we? And I want to talk about something that I saw. Admittedly, I all had things to talk about, but I saw something that I thought I want to talk about, which is Louis van Gaal's Army. Louis van Gaal said that Champions League is a realistic aim by 2017. Now that one thing means that he can see himself managing until the end of the 2017 season, which is big for Manchester United, because if they can get working under his style of play, it's big and good news for them. And secondly, I don't think they're that far from it this season, personally. They've got the squad, they've got the European know-how, they've got Schweinsteiger in, huge player, they've kept De Gea, they can get Rooney scoring, they get Martial scoring as well. Got Mata one side, you've got Depay there. As much as Depay has come from a lower league, he's also had Champions League and European in general league experience. And although they did lose against PSV and did lose Luke Shaw to a horrific injury in their last game, I don't think it's that far away, personally. And the fact that I believe that's Thomas Kuszczak celebrating in the last time they held the trophy on the the article on BBC Sport, that just shows how much their squad has improved in the goalkeeper position.
I agree. I think that well, to be honest, all English teams do need to step up their game in Europe.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
we're being left behind, and the thing is, with the squads that we've got, we should be performing so much better. But it just seems that no, foreign clubs have finally figured out how to stop English teams, and that's just don't give them the ball. Because
Yeah.
the pace and power of English like players is
Piss and
unbelievable
poor.
compared to them. But you know, we've lost a lot of big names, Suarez. But hopefully the Premier League is rebuilding again, and hopefully we're not going to lose our coefficients because that will be a nightmare if we do.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I'm
with Matt
assuming you've
Regard,
heard about that.
3 Champions League teams.
Yeah, 3 Champions League teams but I think an extra Europa League team.
Well, that's good.
But you know,
Spurs can finally
it'll-
get 4th, then, if that's what you're saying.
it'll be 4th, 5th, 6th, and possibly 7th. But we may lose one in a cup competition. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, we need to improve that just simply due to the European coefficients. Yeah, I think that it's sooner than they think, but I don't think LVG will be there in 2-3 years because I'm pretty sure they want Giggs to take over at some point.
I do want Giggs to take over, but I feel like if he is speaking about it, saying it's possible, surely he means that, surely that believes that he's thinking about 2017 possibly winning it with Manchester United, which means his head is in the club, which for Man United is a big sign, a huge sign. He's not going to be swelling off at the age of like 65 at the end of this season thinking, I'm retiring now, bye, have a good life, and leaving Ryan Giggs with it. That gives him a few years to train up Giggs. And admittedly, I think Giggs will make a good manager, but once he's trained up and everything, I think 2017 he can then stand down if he doesn't win it, or stand down if he wins it. If you want to go out a hero, or maybe slightly less than a hero. But he would have rebuilt the club that had been demolished from the post-Fergie era. Let's say.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. Fergie knew what he was doing when he left. He left at the exact right time.
Yeah.
But I don't like Van Gaal's style of football as well.
No, I'm not a big fan.
That's the thing. That's the thing with these big name managers that we got at Chelsea's Mourinho and Van Gaal at Man U. Van Gaal at Man U. Their styles of football are really boring, and I hate it. And so do the Man U fans, but they accept it because they're winning.
Yeah.
The only style of football that I'm enjoying from big teams is Arsenal because, well, they just play good football.
Yeah.
And Man City, to be fair, as well.
Man City do like to attack.
And other big 4 teams like West Ham.
Just casually chucking that in there every moment you can get.
I've got to enjoy it while it lasts, Kurt.
Who knows how
I
long
know.
they're going to be there for?
I know, come December, it's going to be, we're fighting a relegation battle now.
Bilic has been
I'm
sacked.
not
Aladishi's
a
back
negative. I'm not a negative West Ham fan. I'm never like, oh, we're going to get relegated apart from when Sam Allardyce is in charge. But yeah, I've actually got no more notes, to be honest.
You've got no
my last
more?
one says, no, it says what's happened to Swansea. That's it. I've got, Montero stopped performing, Ayew stopped performing, Batafimbi Gomez, I don't think he's touched the ball.
Well, I did see a stat when I did my review, which is up. Well, we're recording this on Tuesday. This will be up, I think, for you. You probably learned on Wednesday. I did it on a Thursday. But I saw a stat on the review about Gomez at the weekend. He passed the ball 7 times in the whole 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Where'd he
That's
go?
why he went at half time, wasn't it?
He was missing for 45 minutes, and then they found him to take him off.
I know, it was terrible.
Terrible.
Absolutely terrible. I mean, how can you be a Premier League striker and hardly touch the ball for 90 minutes?
45 minutes, he was taken off at half time for Adair.
Same thing. 90 minutes, 45 minutes, what's the actual difference? Let's face it. It's ridiculous. I mean, Andy Carroll probably touched the... Andy Carroll, actually, probably did more in the 15 minutes he was on than Batafimbi Gomez did in 45 minutes.
Yeah, I agree.
But, yeah, what's happened to Swansea, Kurt? What has happened to Swansea?
Well, Montero, Ayew, Gomez, they're all in fine form, and now they're not. And what was the start of this? They shouldn't have beaten Man U.
You think?
Since then, they lost 1-0 to Watford, 0-0. Swansea Everton lost 1-0 to Hull in the third round of the FA Cup. Lost 3-1 to Southampton.
I mean, 3-1
Bad,
Southampton and Watford ones are the key ones there.
Yeah,
I think 0-0 with Everton's actually quite a good result.
that's a good result. Yeah, I have to admit.
But yeah, they've just not been. They've not been as explosive as they were.
Yeah, I have to admit. That's
but
true.
you know, every team. There is one team every year that goes into the top 4, stays there, and then leaves in December. Last year that was West Ham. This year it looks like it's going to be West Ham again. But
Yay, confidence.
I remember it was West Brom a few years ago when Lukaku was like in form for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've not really got much else to talk about.
Neither have I. I have got.
Apart from my stomach's growling at me.
I have got one more thing that I wanted to talk about. It's kicked off now. Just to let you know. No goals so far. Disappointing.
Yeah, no, I'm watching it.
It's not like the Premier League, but one thing I do want to talk about and end off. I think it's a suitable time to end off. Jack Warner has been banned for life from all football activities. He's a former FIFA vice president. Jack Warner, he's been banned from football for life. 72 years old, Trinidadian, former head of the Caribbean and the North and Central American Football CONCACAF, then quit FIFA in 2011. And of course, all this controversy around FIFA is going on. I know Blatter has said he's not going to resign again, despite the fact even more evidence is coming in to say he's a bad man. Get rid of him. He's still standing strong for some odd reason. Jack Warner, you know, televised, you know, something at all. I haven't seen it yet, but apparently, you know, he said he feared for his life, which is a strong statement. But Swiss have opened up prosecutings against Sepp Blatter, and he said he's to stay as president despite the investigation. Which, you know, I think we need another Lee Nelson coming in, chucking money at him in the conference. That's all we need, and he'll get beat out.
All I need is about time.
Yeah, me too.
This has been going on for too long, and it's actually killing football when you think of it.
Yeah,
this whole like Sepp Blatter being in charge is killing football, and it's just I mean, how the Qatar World Cup is still going on is unbelievable.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
And also the Russian World Cup shouldn't be going on as well.
Yeah, I heard I don't know any details about that exactly, but I know there's some dodgy stuff.
There is definitely some dodgy stuff in that and the Qatar World Cup. But the thing is, Russia are a racist nation.
Yeah.
And they expect like African teams and even English teams and the teams with black players, let's just put it like that, to go to Russia, and they're going to have to get escorted around everywhere. Like, I know they probably are anyway, but like seriously, they're going to have to be escorted everywhere because they're so racist in Russia. You see it in the Champions League when, for example, what's the name? Dynamo Moscow? Is that? CSKA Moscow. That's the team.
Moscow, yeah.
CSKA Moscow. They racially abused many. Oh, who was it?
Hulk.
Was it Welbeck?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, no. Yeah, I think it was Welbeck.
Welbeck.
Yeah.
They racially abused Welbeck for about 90 minutes, and I think he took it quite well, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's just how can you give a nation that is that racist the World Cup?
You've seen it recently. Not recently as such, but as much as I don't really like him as a footballer, as a person, Emmanuel Frimpong reacting to racial taunts by the crowds, who then had a 2-match ban. Wenger then came out and supported the ex-gunner. He's not happy. No one is happy, and it means will it get? For my question is, will it get to the point where teams will say that they got to the point where this racism is getting too far? We're going to boycott the World Cup. Will there? Because Hulk has been racially abused. You've seen videos of it. Him getting racially abused and just blasting the ball in the back of the net. There's multiple of them. And everyone's getting racially abused in Russia. Will teams like Brazil say, we're not going? Will they make a stand? And if people do make a stand, and Sepp Blatter somehow, and I wouldn't put money against it, is still in charge of FIFA, still has something to do with FIFA, people are going to have to start realising something needs to change, because Qatar have got stadiums that haven't even been built yet. In towns and cities haven't even been built yet. How are they going to get the people there to watch them? I don't know. Oh, do you want a cheap flight over there to watch the World Cup? Okay, £2,000 for a quarter of the journey. Please, thank you.
Yeah.
And with Russia, it's just, if I was a manager of an international team that I knew players were going to get racially abused and attacked in Russia, I would be going to the leaders of the country that I was managing and saying, we need to make a stand, boycott this World Cup, because it's not going to be any fun for the team, the players, the fans themselves, and in general the viewing public is the most important thing.
It's not even like it's not going to be fun. It's just it's going to be morally wrong. I mean, to send some players there. I mean, I can already see. Well, I already see. I don't think the World Cup will be boycotted, but I know a number of teams would consider it. I think I had heard that Roy Hodgson was considering not. Well, the English FA even was considering boycotting the Russia and Qatar World Cup.
Well,
but
so
we've now decided that we want to win the Qatar World Cup. So
yes, we're going to boycott. We're going to boycott. Hold on a minute. No, we're going to win it instead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a bad thing to say. Sorry.
It will be interesting though if Sepp Blatter does lose the presidency, which he should. It'll be interesting to see if the World Cups still stay in their current countries. And I know that England have said that if needs be, we will step in.
Well, with the multitude of stadiums we've got, it's set up. With the Olympics as well being built, we can literally.
But it will be built by then.
We can set it up, and within a year, we can have everything organised. We've got some of the biggest stadiums around the world. There's other countries that would take it, but I don't think Russia or Qatar should get it, personally.
Yeah, I mean, even like the likes of Spain and France, Germany, all of them could take it. I know that they don't want it's the 2022 one they're mainly talking about taking.
Yeah.
But they said that it can't be in Europe 2 years in a row. 2 times in a row. I mean, it's got to be logical. Send it to the US for all I care. The US have got some decent stadiums.
Yeah, exactly.
But, they're not going to change because they've got terms and conditions of everything, but...
Yeah, but something
it would be nice.
Said. If nothing happens, which again, like I say, I wouldn't put money against it, it will take a team or a player saying, for example, like a player, like Neymar maybe, coming from a country that would get racially abused, saying, well, if my country goes, I'm not going. And all of a sudden you're losing a key player from the teams for money reasons as well, monetary and everything to do with him gone. With that, a team will go, and that's all it needs. And then it's just a domino effect, rolling out. I can't see the World Cup going on if one team pulls out. That will cause many other teams to think they're making a stand. We've got to join them. FIFA is a corrupt organisation. Someone's got to make a stand. They've got to grow a pair for me.
Yeah, I mean, but no one will make the stand because no one wants to because the World Cup is, let's face it, the biggest footballing event in the world.
I'd put it
history.
in the biggest sporting event in history.
Yeah,
it's something everyone watches.
And it's something that they literally cannot afford to do. They cannot afford to have teams boycotting it. And maybe it will make a point to them. However, maybe they'll just turn around and say, well, okay, this year you won't be doing it.
Which is the thing that might scare people, but you've only got to hope it'll make countries see that we do need to make a stand, because something about this needs to be changed, and it's especially Russia. If Russia does go ahead, which I think it will do, it'll be interesting what happens. For me, and I just wait and see, and then from then we need to move on.
It's just such a terrible situation to be in. Let's face it.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those things that, like, although yes, I will still watch it. I'm not going to look forward to it as much as I usually would, knowing that it's going to be in Russia.
Yeah. I know.
And especially the Qatar one as well. Like, it's going to be in fucking winter. What's the point? It's meant to be after the football season. But, let's just end it there. I think.
Well, okay, I've been told.
On my anger. You have been told. Get in your place. It's in your place.
I'm sorry. Don't hurt me, senpai.
Me and Kurt have quite an abusive relationship.
He smacks me, I smack him. It all goes south from there. But
one
anyway,
thing leads to another, and we end up on Football Manager together.
yeah, I need to do my team. Actually, saying that.
I do need you to continue.
But before I continue on Football Manager, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you have liked this podcast, it's 10 minutes shorter than the hour mark, which is good because we're not trying to string it out. And also,
Is it a record? Is it a record?
I think it might be the record for the shortest. And also, did you notice the structure? Admittedly, Joe did help a lot with that, but I also improved a lot. But it was mainly Joe that helped. So thank you, Joe, for being more structured
Yes.
rather than.
Rather than just throwing myself into it, going, yeah, let's just record it. But last week's one was so bad,
No,
I
it
realised
was
that we
awful.
really need to structure it.
It was ridiculously awful. Yeah, but it was much better this week. It flowed much better, and hopefully, every one of the one people, I'm looking at you, Thomas McCarthy, gets to the end of this and enjoys it. But if you have liked this video, leave a like and we think in the comments down below, and subscribe. There we go. If you feel like myself and Joe are worthy, and I'll let you say the final few words, Joe.
Thank you all for watching. I will upload this one.
Yay!
Yeah, cheers from the crowds. I can hear them all. But yeah, I do plan to come back. Now, I've been missing in action, MIA. But yeah, I'm back now, I hope, for a while. And yeah, I just hope you've all enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next podcast.
Well said. Peace.
Yeah, peace.